there, welcome into the show. You're watching Philadelphia Eagles Now. Chase Sr. here with you. And by the time that you're watching this video, I hope everybody out there is having a fantastic weekend. Coming up here on the show, I want to go through the latest Eagles news, Eagles rumors, and roster questions going into Eagles OTAs, which get underway this upcoming week. And we could talk some actual football here. You got to love it. And the 2025 season is going to be here before we know it. Eagles training camp is going to be here at the end of July. Then we'll have 3 preseason games. And then the regular season will start in early September as the Eagles play host to the Dallas Cowboys on Thursday, September 4th. So that Eagles OTA schedule, OTA standing for Organized Team Activities, for those of you not familiar, they start May 27th and 28th, right after Memorial Day. May 30th, they pick back up June 2nd and the 3rd, and then they end on June 5th. And then there will be mandatory minicamp for the defending Super Bowl champions, which starts on June 10th. Eagles OTAs, they are optional. Mandatory minicamp, everybody is expected to be there. And one of the biggest question marks with this Eagles team going into 2025 and currently, what will Howie Roseman and the Eagles do with edge rusher Bryce Huff? He was a big free agent acquisition 2 free agency cycles ago. He got $34 million in guaranteed money. He has no more guaranteed cash left on his contract after 2025. And I think the Eagles' actions have been very telling here. They have loaded up on the edge rusher position. They signed Azeez Ojulari, signed Josh Uche, drafted Antwaun Powell-Ryland, Ty Robinson. They drafted Jihaad Campbell, who can rush the quarterback from that edge spot and play off-ball linebacker. But Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt, I think, will continue to flourish with this Eagles team. And so where are their snaps for Bryce Huff? You could go to the avenue of trading him. You could potentially just eat this deal and some dead money and outright release him to let him go to another team of his choosing. But I'm just not sure how much he's going to play because it seems as though last year he never earned the trust of legend and Eagles defensive coordinator Vic Fangio. Nolan Smith and Jalen Hunt should be the starting edge rushers for Philadelphia. The backups, you do have Bryce Huff, you have Josh Uche, you have Azeez Ojulari, and Antwaun Powell-Ryland. So there will be a roster crunch for some of the players who have a lot of talent, who other teams would probably like in trying to make this 53-man roster. And I know a lot of people were down on Bryce Huff. I mean, anytime you sign a player to a contract that is worth $34 million in guaranteed money, yet he only has 182 pass rush snaps and barely produces, that's not good. But could another team be interested when they look at the production that he had when maybe he was playing in a scheme that is not friendly to him? And he did at points make the most of his opportunities. Because in those 182 pass rush snaps, he did log 17 hurries. He had 20 pressures. He had 2.5 sacks. And he was not graded poorly by Pro Football Focus. He was in the green here for the overall PFF grade of 68.3, the pass rush grade of 68.2, and the run defense grade of 60.2. There are 2 teams that really come to mind who could use the services of Bryce Huff and make sense for the player that he is and the needs that they have. One of those teams is the Atlanta Falcons. Yes, they drafted James Pierce and they drafted Jalen Walker. Those are really young players, though, for Atlanta. They played in the SEC, Walker at Georgia, Pierce at Tennessee, but they do not have a lot of talent, nor do they have a lot of depth at that defensive end edge rusher spot. And so the Falcons last year in 2024, they allowed the highest completion percentage in the NFL at 69.9%. They gave up the second most touchdowns in the NFL with 34. They were last in the NFL in sacks and last in pressure percentage at 28.1%. And so the Falcons are a team that could make sense for Bryce Huff. The other team, the San Francisco 49ers. 2 years ago, in 2023, prior to Bryce Huff signing that contract with Philadelphia, he had a true breakout year for the New York Jets. Guess who his head coach was with the New York Jets? Robert Saleh. Guess where Robert Saleh is now? The defensive coordinator for the San Francisco 49ers. This was a season where Bryce Huff, as a former UDFA, popped off. He had a 79.7 overall PFF grade, 33rd among 197 edge rushers. His pass rush grade was 86.8. That was 11th. He logged that year 45 hurries, 10 sacks according to PFF, 16 stops, 12 quarterback hits, and 67 total pressures. The pressure number is 15th. The hurry number's 15th. I think that Bryce Huff can play. I'm just not sure he's a fit for what Philadelphia wants to do. So Atlanta Falcons, San Francisco 49ers, the two teams that I think Howie Roseman could potentially call if the Eagles want to trade Huff away. Big storyline number 2 going into OTAs, and something that we're going to be keeping an eye on here, who will win the right guard competition? And will it be former third-round pick from a couple of years ago out of Alabama, prior to that Vanderbilt, Tyler Steen? And can Jeff Stoutland have Tyler Steen develop and have a breakout year for Philadelphia? Because right now, he's penciled in at that right guard spot. We already know who the 4 other starters are going to be. Jordan Mailata, one of the highest graded offensive tackles in the game last year, one of the most dominant players in the NFL. Landon Dickerson, best left guard in the NFL. Cam Jurgens, fresh off getting that bag at center. And then you have Lane Johnson, the ageless wonder, who continues to be the best right tackle in all of football. Other players who could be competing for that right guard spot, Tyler Steen, Kenyon Green, who the Eagles traded for in that C.J. Gardner-Johnson trade, Trevor Keegan, the Eagles drafted him 2 years ago out of Michigan. Matt Pryor, the former Eagle, is back. He played very good at the guard spot for Chicago last year. You have Holland Pierce. You have Myles Hinton. You have Cameron Williams, all rookies who could also be vying for that right guard spot. And look, Tyler Steen has it. Tyler Steen, we've seen some glimpses of him playing really good football. Tyler Steen is an excellent athlete. Pre-draft process, he earned, going into the 2023 draft, a 994 relative athletic score grade. He's 6'6", 321. He had 31 reps at 225 pounds on the bench press. The vertical and the broad good. The shuttle good. But as Jason Kelsey said, he just needs to be more consistent. And last year, there was good and bad. When he had to play in the NFC Championship game in a pinch, I thought he played well. When he had to play earlier in the year, I thought he played pretty well at right guard. He had to replace Landon Dickerson at left guard in the NFC Championship game. When you look at the PFF numbers, not good at all, right? 40.6 overall grade, 37.7 pass blocking grade, 50.6 run blocking grade. Positional versatility, he has it. He played a lot of snaps at left guard and at right guard. The good, 0 sacks and 0 hits. As for Kenyon Green, can he compete with Tyler Steen? He's going to need to be better than he was last year, when he was one of the lowest graded offensive linemen and guards in the National Football League. Former first-round pick, he could be a project that Jeff Stoutland gets on the right road, but man, he's got to do a lot of work. Overall PFF grade of 38.6, 132nd among 136 interior guards last year. Pass blocking grade, 39.7. Run blocking grade, 44.6. He allowed 28 pressures, 582 snaps at left guard. Can he play right guard? Yes, he can play right guard. So he'll be in the competition, but it's Tyler Steen's job to lose. Who will win the Eagles' right guard job? I want you to predict that for me down in the comment section right now. Drop me a name, and if you have some thoughts on this, of course, you can elaborate on that. More to get to here on the show, but first, our sponsor, our friends at Prize Picks. Get $50 when you play $5. How do you do it? You enter the link, prizepicks.com/CLNS. Prize Picks is the best place to turn your sports knowledge into cash. With millions of members, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. Right now, you can cash in on the basketball playoffs with Prize Picks. Don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from the court to your Prize Picks lineup, whether it's points, rebounds, assists. Take your pick of more or less for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. Here's how this works. Knicks, Pacers, Eastern Conference Finals. Let's go with Jalen Brunson, more than 28.5 points. Myles Turner, more than 15.5 points. Josh Hart, less than 12 points. Two Villanova legends right there for those of you in the greater Philadelphia area. Daily Fantasy Sports made easy. Pick two or more players, choose more or less on their projected stats, and you can win up to 2,000 times your money. And right now, you get $50 when you play $5. PrizePicks.com/CLNS. Next up, how will Vic Fangio order the safeties alongside Reed Blankenship? There's a really good competition there at that spot as well. Reed Blankenship, one of the more underrated defenders on this Eagles team, one of the more underrated players on this Eagles team, and I think he's one of the more underrated safeties and defensive players in the National Football League. He's made so many big plays time and time again. He's a good tackler for the most part. He's good in coverage, good ball skills, and he's been a pretty highly graded player as well. Always in the right place at the right time. But who will start next to him? Will it be Sidney Brown, a third-round pick from a couple of years ago out of Illinois? Will it be second-round pick from April's draft in Andrew Mukuba? The other thing, too, there's a little bit of a lack of safety depth. So who's going to be safety 4 on this Eagles team? That can be a part of this conversation because right now that battle is between Andre Sam, Tristan McCullum, and former first-round pick and Georgia Bulldog Lewis Seen. Could the Eagles go out and sign a player like four-time second-team All-Pro Justin Simmons? I would say that right now, currently, just because of the experience level, it is Sidney Brown who has the inside track at winning this job, and he's a different player than Andrew Mukuba. Sidney Brown is really good downhill, very physical, plays the game in a very spirited way. We saw that on special teams last year, and I would classify Sidney Brown as a thick thumper. Andrew Mukuba plays with physicality. Like Sidney Brown, he plays like his hair is on fire. He's not afraid to hit, but he's a little bit lighter and leaner. He, too, has better positional versatility. Sidney Brown, kind of a 4.5, 40-yard dash guy. Andrew Mukuba, more of a 4.4 guy. Plays the game passion-wise, versatility-wise, physicality-wise, like C.J. Gardner-Johnson. And so I like both young players. I like how they bring different skill sets to this Eagles team, but which player is going to lock up that safety position opposite of Reed Blankenship? And then there's this viable question. Will Howie Roseman make a move in general? Will he make a move for a wide receiver 3? Or are the Eagles content with Jahan Dotson? Will the Eagles look to bring in more wide receiver depth? If they do, they probably don't like what they've seen from the likes of Johnny Wilson, Anaya Smith, and Terrace Marshall. Could a UDFA come out of nowhere and perhaps make a good impression on Philadelphia? There's a free agent wide receiver who I think could make a lot of sense for Philadelphia, and that is Amari Cooper. He's been highly productive. I think that he could find a lot of success out of the slot. 2 years ago in 2023, he had more than 1,200 yards, 5 touchdowns. Drop issues have been an issue for Amari Cooper. Last year, he had a down year, split between Cleveland and Buffalo. But he has been for a long time one of the most productive wide receivers in the game. And at this point, no, he's not a number 1 any longer. He's not a number 2. But if he's a number 3 or a 4, you'd kind of like that depth. There's also this possibility. The Eagles are said to be a team that could potentially monitor the market of Saints wide receiver Chris Olave, a former first-round pick by New Orleans a couple of years ago in 2022 out of Ohio State. The Saints were able to pick him kind of in a way because of that A.J. Brown draft night trade, which involves some picks, and then the Jordan Davis trade as well. Chris Olave, obviously, going to be playing under Kellen Moore if he stays with New Orleans. And his first 2 years, he went over 1,000 yards, 72 catches as a rookie, 4 touchdowns, 1,042 yards. And then in year 2, more than 1,100 yards on 87 catches, and he had 5 touchdowns. Last year, unfortunately, dealing with a lot of concussion issues. I would say this is a little bit more unrealistic that Howie Roseman makes a move like this. One, Olave is going to be looking for a new deal soon. Number two, I don't think the Saints would trade him to Philadelphia, especially because Howie Roseman has fleeced the Saints in a lot of recent moves. Number three, what would the target share look like for a player like Chris Olave? Because this Eagles team with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith on it, they haven't really been able to find a wide receiver 3 option to be productive. And number 4, I think Jahan Dotson, he's fine in that role. Let's go, Legends. If you enjoyed today's Philadelphia Eagles Now, I want you to give me a real one down in the comment section. And as always, thank you so much for supporting the program.